and this is a competitive Euro game where players are going to have 3 workers that they're going to be placing out onto the board in order to perform different actions. But the interesting thing about the way that the actions work in this game is that there's actually a grid of actions, and players are going to be putting their workers into one of the spaces within that grid. That's going to allow the player to take 2 actions, the one that's in their column and the one that's in their row. But something that's really cool adding on to this is that at the start of every single round, the Emperor is going to be moving to a random space within that grid, and if that Emperor or another one of your own workers is in that column or row of the actions that you're going to be taking, you're actually going to get a more powerful action, upgrading it once for each one of those meeples that are within that intersection criteria. And the different actions that players can perform are to visit the market in order to buy or sell goods or cards, gain an upgrade tile that's going to gain them a special ability as well as influence, gain follower cards which come with their own abilities or scoring potential, bet on a chariot track. There's a few different chariots and they're going to be moving up throughout each round, and players will be able to bet on which one they think will be in the lead in order to gain victory points for that. But each player will also have their own set of ships located in the ship region of the board. You're going to be moving those around in a bit of a race because the first to get to the end of that ship track is going to be getting special bonuses, but you'll also be gaining any of the bonuses that you cross over when you move that ship. But this game is called Nova Roma, so of course players can pay to build buildings and help develop Nova Roma. And the way that that works is that there's a few different regions in a Nova Roma map, and you'll be able to choose to build in those different regions depending on how many times you're able to upgrade that action. And when you do perform that action, you're going to be placing your colored cubes anywhere within the available region's grid, and that's going to be earning you victory points at the end of the game, as well as special bonuses if you're able to encapsulate the special icons located in those grids. But there isn't just the main player board that players are going to be concerned with, because each player also has their own personal board, and there is an action to be able to interact with that board, and that's the gain artisans action. And whenever you do that, you're going to be gaining an artisan meeple that you'll be able to add to your board, and your board also has a grid on it. It works the exact same way, so wherever you put that artisan meeple, you'll be able to gain whatever is in the column and the row of that grid, depending on where you decide to place it. But the difference here is that instead of this grid granting you actions like it does in the main board, it's going to be gaining you resource generation. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different resources in each row and column, and if you put multiple of these artisans in the same row, that does get powered up as well, gaining you more and more of those resources. And of course, players are going to be trying to use and optimize these actions in order to build their own little engine and gain the most victory points. But there is also a personal objective boards that each player is going to have, and these are going to have all sorts of different goals that you can try to complete in order to gain different benefits and resources, or they can also gain you victory points at the end of the game. These are going to come as their own separate cards, so these can actually be different from game to game, adding some more variability each time you play the game. And of course, the player with the most victory points at the end of the game wins the game, and you can find links to this campaign in the description below.